Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is season 4, episode 71. And as you can see, we are joined by the wonderful, the magnificent, the draft guru himself, the one, the only, former LSU Tiger, number 55, Mr. Brian Broaddus. How are things?
Brian, Paul, great to be with you guys. I tell you what, I'll come on every week if you guys keep that kind of introduction. I haven't had anybody introduce me as a former LSU Tiger in a while. It's usually like they say, Super Bowl winner, former NFL scout. But hey, you know me and my LSU Tigers, man. I am all about that. So it's great to be with you guys this evening.
It's an absolute pleasure to always see you, Brian. Good friend of the show, and we've all known each other for a good long time now.
Right?
Yeah. So it's how's things? You doing all right?
I'm doing well. Staying busy this time of year, as you guys know. Just getting ready for the draft as always. That's kind of my area of expertise. I'm doing stuff with 105.3 The Fan here. We have a show that's super, popular here. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but we got us a top 3 show going on here, with the Mavericks and the Rangers and the Stars, but really the Cowboys. I mean, the interest that we have, with Dallas Cowboys and the draft and all that. So it's rolling along well. I'm back with DallasCowboys.com. I'm like gum on their shoe. Derek Eagleton can't get rid of me. So, he had me back. It took another LSU guy leaving, David Hellman, and I'm sure everybody misses Dave Hellman over there. He's done a great job with Fox Sports. And so I'm really happy when Derek asked to come back, him and Nick and Ambar, and then the draft show. We're like in our 11th or 12th year of the draft show. So this time of year, I put out my schedule on Twitter, and I was going to be on with you guys at 3:00. And it was funny how it all just kind of fell together for me. So again, I'm super happy to be with her. I love everybody overseas. And like I said, I could do this every day. I really, really could.
You mentioned, it's just before we went on air, you mentioned like the appreciation of like international outside of America, like really feeding into the sport of American football. And for likes of me and Brian, that's why we love this sport, because we just love the knowledge for likes of yourself and likes of all the other scouts, like even Jeff Kavanagh and stuff like that, etc.
Right.
All the info we can take and learn about these players going into this draft process is just, it's a lot to take in, but by God, it's so informative. It makes us just understand the game so much more, and that's what we love about American football or football. Sorry.
No. I tell you what, I had the good fortune in my life of early in my career. One of my first jobs was I worked in NFL Europe, and it was known as the World League of American Football at the time in 1991.
Scottish Claymores.
Scottish Claymores. But hey, the first team that won it was the London Monarchs. My man Stan Gelbaugh, quarterback there for the London Monarchs. And I remember standing at Wembley Stadium, the old Wembley Stadium, and they were playing, God Save the Queen at the time. And literally I got choked up because, there's 60 some odd thousand fans in that historic stadium. And I'm thinking they're going to get a team here one day. They're not going to just have the London Monarchs. And then we went back for the Cowboys in 2014. And we're staying right there next to the new Wembley Stadium, and I call it new and old. That's just my experience. I mean, you guys
I'm the same.
Yeah. Okay. So the new Wembley, we're staying right there, and Derek Eagleton and I from DallasCowboys.com, Nick Eatman, we walk right out the hotel and we hang a left, and just the atmosphere at that stadium that day, and just to be able to be a part of that. That's something I've been a part of Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl. That was one of the greatest experiences I ever had in my life. And I just feel like, though, there's so much, the fan base there is so passionate. We'd made those stops. We went to those pubs and had the shows with me and Mickey and Sidney Durso and all. I mean, we're all hanging out and just loving it, just loving being part of that. And what I've learned over the years, it's a fan base that really has become super, super knowledgeable. Like you say, we used to be able to like run Stan Gelbaugh out there as a quarterback. You run Stan Gelbaugh out there in front of London fans now, they'll tell you he can't play a lick. I mean, they'll break him down. They'll say, hey, mechanics are bad, footwork's bad, he's not accurate. That's just how far the fans in Europe. I mentioned I have friends in Saudi Arabia that are, football fans. The American football, it's so passionate there. And, I'm so proud, like I say, in 1991, being a part of NFL Europe, but to see it where it is today, and they will get a team. There will be a team, I believe there'll be a team in London. It's just the fan base, again, too passionate. We've seen those games, the games in Berlin, the games. I mean, it's something that it really, really, the expansion doesn't need to be in the United States. It needs to be in Europe. That's how we need to figure this out.
Yeah, I think that the biggest obstacle for regards to that is obviously the logistics of things. I think, like for example, like Seattle making the trip over to Germany,
right,
and back, and they had like 3-day turnover to play on the following Thursday or something. I think it was like Thursday night football or something like that.
Yeah,
that like.
They'll create. I'll tell you what, we will create the NFL. If it means enough, they'll create training centers, much like they will training grounds, to where if you're a team that's coming to play, like say, for example, the London team, that will be their home base, but there'll be a training ground there for them, and there'll be a training ground for the team that's coming to visit. So you could come the week of, and then like we did in 2014 when we trained over at the rugby grounds. There'll be a place for you to stay, a hotel, meeting space, meals, and then they'll make it a little bit easier where it's not just fly in and then fly out. So, and then they'll create a training base for the European teams here. Maybe they'll do it in Dallas since it's centrally located, big airport and all that. So as long as they could work out the schedule, but the training grounds, and then have the teams be able to stay at the training grounds for the whole week. And then that way they play the game, they're rested, ready to go, and boom, they can go home after that.
Yep, definitely.
I'll figure it out. I'm coming. As soon as that team gets in London, I'm in. I'm going. I'm gonna get out of retirement of being in radio and stuff. I'm gonna go work for that team in London. Is what I'm gonna go do.
I will say though, I won't be supporting the team of London. I'll still.
Come on, Paul. You're gonna support the team in London. You'll support the team in London.
No. You're asking a Scotsman here to support a London team. Come on.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best for world harmony here, for sure.
Like, I'll go to the game for sure, but I won't.
Oh yeah, you will.
Them.
Yeah. You'll have your Romo jersey on and your kilt. I think that's the last time I saw you. You had your Romo jersey on and your kilt. I remember that last time when I saw you. Yeah.
But Brian, we know we've a limited time with you this evening.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was rambling on there.
not at all. As like the comments are flying in, and everyone is delighted to see you back on, and we're very appreciative.
I love you guys. I really do. I really love you guys.
But I suppose, look, obviously you've been in draft rooms, you've ran drafts. We're 8 days out from the draft itself, so. What is happening in draft rooms right now? I mean, we were talking to you just before we went on air, and you said you're trying to stack your own board. Yes, is that what the teams are doing now? Did they kind of just locking it down into mock drafts, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Brian, that's absolutely what they're doing. They finished up, I think yesterday was the last day for the 30 visits, which the 30 visits are when they have the ability to come, the players to come and visit your facility. Yeah. So now that you're 8 days out, there's, teams have put together their boards. They've stacked their boards as far as I mentioned that I'm working on I did 210 players, evaluated 210 players. I'm stacking them right now from player 1 to player 210. I'm going to post that board for you guys on 105.3 The Fan. I'm sure I'll tweet it out. I'm going to do my stack and my board both, so you'll have both where I saw these guys. But that's what teams are working on right now. They're going through and they're what they're calling reading their reports. And a scout who's responsible for that school will read a report. Then he'll present the player. They'll have a cross-checker or an over-the-top guy, a national scout that will also read his report about the particular player. This is really the first opportunity for Jerry and Steve and Mike McCarthy to see these players. They'll watch the tape as a group, and then they'll determine where to stack them on the board with the tags. So, for example, Bryce Young, they'll watch, they'll read the reports, they'll hear the information they'll get, and then they'll put Bryce Young, quarterback Alabama, on that board. And then they'll go down throughout, and they'll do each position that way until their board gets complete. Usually you'll have a board of about 150 players is generally how the Cowboys operate. That was something that I brought over from Green Bay with my experience. The Cowboys used to have a board of well over 300 players. And Larry Lacewell, the boss, my boss at the time, goes, how you worried about running out of players with 150 names? And like, no, absolutely not. You don't. You'll have 5 or 6 guys left over, and those are the guys you go for priority free agents. So that's what they're doing right now, is trying to get that board in order and then get their stack in order. And let me give you one more example. The best example of the stack, the way it goes, if you draft it like the CeeDee Lamb draft, with CeeDee Lamb's tag where it was, when it gets their spot at 17 and all of a sudden they have the 6th best player on their board, they're like, boy, guys, we put CeeDee Lamb up there for a reason. Let's draft him. Boom. That's what they go do. Another example was the Zach Martin draft, where Ryan Shazier from Pittsburgh goes ahead of you, and you're going to draft him. Now you got to go to your next tag. Zach Martin's next tag. Jerry Jones, as a general manager, goes, guys, Johnny Manziel's tag's still on that board. Jerry's trying to get them to jump Zach Martin's tag with Johnny Manziel. Yeah. The guys held strong in the room. Steven held strong in the room. Yeah. Will McClay held strong in the room. No, we got to take. And they convinced Jerry to take Zach Martin. There you go. That's an example. One player gone, next player down, and then you go that route. And it's a great way to make sure that you're not window dressing your board or doing something crazy to your board. You're taking the players how you want to take them.
I just find that absolutely just fascinating. Just like, in particular, I still remember that on the day, because the craze within Cowboys Nation was like, oh, we're going to get Johnny Football, etc., etc. But when you really break it down, it's like it was the smartest pick I've seen in recent time, and no one's complaining now. We've got a future Hall of Famer guard, and he's going to be like a Cowboys legend, first ballot.
Oh, no question. Yeah, see, Paul, that's the whole idea. If you don't cheat your board, if you don't just put guys, and I use the word window dress. We walk by Harrods and we look at the window. Oh, it looks nice, and all, it's beautiful. But it is what it is. You make sure that the players that you absolutely want, you give them their due, and you put them in order of how you take them. And there's a lot of times, if you do that, if you just follow your board that way, you won't make mistakes. You won't get emotional. Jerry did his job as a general manager talking about Johnny Manziel. Steven did his job as the director of player personnel. Will McClay did his job. Jason Garrett did his job. Everybody said, no, we put Zach Martin up there for a damn reason, Jerry. We're going to take Zach Martin here. And Jerry let it go. He reminded him, he said, okay, I'm just going to remind it. Well, today, he's grateful that he had guys like Will and Steven and those guys steering him the right direction.
Yeah, because we're seeing now, ever since the Zach Martin one, it's like we're seeing Jerry being a lot more being more communicating with Steven.
Yeah, there you go.
You're seeing that in the war room. You see that even behind the scenes, the days after the draft, they release all the behind the scenes footage. You see him really explain, going through the list, and that he's not thinking about, oh, I think he would be really great. And you're not seeing it. They're seeing a very collaborative team effort in that war room now, which is great.
Yeah, that's what Will has done a really good job at. And Will calls it the Bermuda Triangle. And I asked him about this one day. And he says at the top of the Bermuda Triangle is the Joneses. At one corner of the Bermuda Triangle are the scouts, and then the coaches are on the other side. And Will's kind of in the middle, swirling around and all that, trying to make everybody, kind of come together. And he's done a great job. Will McClay has done a tremendous job of putting together quality boards, and they're drafting, and that's great.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah. So, Paul, I see your comment there, and I was gonna bring this one up anyway for Brian. So, Brian, obviously, look, as I say again, you've been in draft rooms, and one of the biggest questions that we're kind of seeing the whole time, I'm just trying to get to it.
Are they rolling? Are they rolling really fast? Because if that's the case, I need to get these folks over here, because nobody asks questions over here. I mean, we'll go to questions. Ask Brian, and it's answer more fishing questions than I do anything else.
So like, look, obviously, I kind of sent you, a kind of schedule of what we were going to talk about, and Dane put out his full mock draft
He
on
did. Yeah,
Monday.
he did.
He mocked Michael Mayer to us at 26.
Yeah.
It might be a wide receiver at 26 as well. So
Sure.
is there a position group that you think is in play for 26, or are you very much going by the best player available at a position of need?
Well, I think that, the best player available thing is always good, especially when you're picking that low in the round, when you're down at near the bottom of the board. Another thing you always have to think about too is if you think of a guy that you might try and get in the second round and you don't think it's just, I'll give you an example. Drew Sanders, the linebacker from Arkansas, is a guy. Now, linebacker is a need. When you look at the Cowboys, we'll see what happens with Cox. We'll see what happens, with the others, with Van Der Esch. He's kind of dealt with some injuries and stuff like that. Do you want to put Micah Moore as an edge rusher? Clark, we'll see how that all plays. So Sanders might be a guy that's kind of a sneaky pick for the Cowboys. If, who's somebody you're not talking about? Drew Sanders, linebacker, Arkansas. That's a guy you need to kind of keep an eye. And so they've kind of kept themselves open to, could they take Mayer, the tight end? Absolutely, they could. Is there a wide receiver at 26 that they feel good about? I've talked to so many teams already, and nobody has the same 3 or 4 guys. Whether it's Johnston from TCU, Smith and Jigba from Ohio State, Addison from USC. Wait, where's Hyatt? Where's this? Nobody has the same order. So that one might be a little bit more difficult to kind of pin down. But Stephen Jones was on 105.3 The Fan on Tuesday, and he was talking about what the traits they look for in a tight end. Well, they want to try and get a blocker. They want to try and get a receiver. Mayer kind of fits that mold. Now, if you pass on Mayer, Washington from Georgia, 6'7", 262, big guy, really good red zone player, hard guy to cover, physical guy at the point of attack. Okay, those are the blocker type guys that I think the Cowboys would look at unless they waited until the 3rd or 4th round. There's some guys like that, but they don't have the athletic ability. Now, the interesting player to me, and this was a 30 visit guy, Darnell Wright from Tennessee. He's a tackle. He's a tackle. Yeah. But the thing about he's got really good size. He's massive. It very much reminds me of the Ron Lurie type of player that Dallas had at left guard when you had Tyron Smith, Ron Leary, those kind of guys. Now, the thing with Wright, and on my stack, he's the 19th best player in the draft for me. When you watch Wright play, he is better than what Tyler Smith was last year at Tulsa at this time. So and Tyler Smith has worked out really, really well. I want to keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. Okay, but if we're going to do some at guard, Darnell Wright to me is a really, really, really good fit. You watch him at Tennessee, he's blocking Ojulari from LSU. He's blocking Will Anderson from Alabama. He's blocking the top guys that are going to be in the draft. So now if you have an opportunity to put somebody in like that, and the one thing that Jerry Jones really believes is, and he learned this with Tony Romo, and he should have carried it all the way back to Aikman in those days, but Jerry believes in keeping the front of the pocket. I don't know where he got this. It might have been Parcells. It might have got Belichick. It might have been Al Davis, somebody he was talking to, but the front of the pocket, keep the front of the pocket firm, give the quarterback the ability to step up. They can handle the stuff off the edge, make sure the stuff in front of them is taken care of. That's what Wright does for you. If Wright somehow, and he's kind of been a guy that people are starting to mock ahead of where the Cowboys are picking at 26, but he might be better than what you have with Torrance and Avila and those guys like that, from Florida and TCU. It might be a better, you could get a guy that could legitimately play tackle but also play guard right there, depending on how you want to go. So to answer your question, I think you got to keep your mind open, but there's a couple of hints: the blocking type of a tight end, the guy that could position flex to maybe play a little bit of guard for you. And then we'll see the sneaky one at linebacker with Drew Sanders from Arkansas.
The Drew Sanders one has been raising up quite a lot of questions. It's like, would we make, like, if he was to follow the second round, would we even trade up for him? But I don't even think he'll be there.
He can't. See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Paul. The situation you're running into is you think you could get Drew Sanders. Now, I'll go back to the CeeDee Lamb draft, and people, I'm sure they're watching this right now, go, whoa, wait, Brian. You know, you had Diggs. You said Diggs could have been a pick at 17, and he ended up going all the way to 60. You know, so you got him. You know, I get it, folks. Yeah, but generally, what happens is where Drew Sanders tends to fall is not at 58. It's more in the 40s. So if you want to go up, but I don't know if the linebacker group isn't particularly deep, but they've got to figure out some things there. They've got to figure out about, like I say, Cox, Clark. You know, they've got to figure those guys out. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So we've got another question from Little Mac here. Let me just bring this up. So Little Mac asking who makes the biggest impact this season: Quentin Johnson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Michael Mayer, or Drew Sanders? So I think we might know that question already. You know what? I'll tell you what, I really do like Jahmyr Gibbs. And, you know, but my Jahmyr Gibbs on my stack is number 16. Robinson from Texas is number 3. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit there. This is what I believe in my heart. I'm not I understand analytics. I understand it has a place. I understand running backs and second contracts. I get all that. But if you talk about what's the thing that could help Dak Prescott absolutely the most, and let's be honest, we don't know what's going to happen with Tony Pollard coming back with this injury. You know, we don't. And you've got some guys behind him. But to me, Tony Pollard, this very well could be what we just saw with Dalton Schultz, the 1-year tag, and then you move on. You know, and that's and maybe Stephen came on the station, was talking about, I'd like to resign Pollard if we can. You said the same thing last year about Dalton Schultz, and it never was a consideration there. So to me, whoever they draft at running back, whether it, and I want to believe that if Bijan Robinson is there at 26, he will be the best player on their board. Now, whether they take the best player on their board, let's see. But to answer your question about Gibbs is a very similar player. Like I said, the thing that Gibbs does, I think Bijan is one of those guys that makes a little bit more miss. You make 1, 2, 3 miss and then gone. Gibbs is more like make one miss and then go. He catches the ball really, really, really well, though. I mean, that's one of those things. You see them use him a lot. Maybe with Kellen Moore being gone now, Mike McCarthy will figure out how to run a screen, with the group he has. But I mean, I really do. I think all the players, that was the question. I think each one of those guys could be potential, those plug and play guys where you could get really good value out of it. It's funny that you mentioned Bijan Robinson. Like, so I'm probably one of the advocates that I don't want to draft Bijan. So, no, sure. No, I mean, and that's understandable. That's understandable. Like, there's no doubt about it. He's an excellent rusher. But my concern is whenever we're back to the passing game is his pass protection. That's my concern. Yeah. And when you compare him to like the running backs before, like Zeke, he had the complete package. He was a blocking running back. He can run the ball. Same with Saquon Barkley for the Giants. He can do the exact same. Right. If you were to put those 3 in order, I would still have Zeke, then Barkley, then Robinson. Like, because of the attributes. Yeah. Hey, what's your favorite ice cream you like? Mint chocolate chip. Mint chocolate chip. I'll tell you what, I'm a big pistachio fan. I really am. And I ask you this question because when you follow me, you understand that it's ice cream. Your mint chocolate chip is my pistachio. And you know what? I don't argue with people about what they see or what they like and all that. I mean, hey, you're doing the work. You guys it ain't like I'm coming on a show with a bunch of guys just throwing stuff up against the wall and hope it works. I mean, if you feel that way, I'm just going to say the things that I saw in Robinson, like say, he is the 3rd best player on my board in the draft. Now, there's Trey, and trust me, I'm doing radio now. I've been doing radio now for the last 15, 16 years because I probably wasn't very good enough as a scout to stay around and be able to do that. So, I'm out here working like everybody else. But I feel like, though, there's people that don't want them to take a running back or don't want them to take this particular running back because of the depth of the draft. The depth of the draft is pretty deep. And people are saying like, I just don't feel like, is that the best use of your draft capital, is drafting a running back? And, Stephen Jones was asked that question, and he felt like, okay, they took Zeke at 4, and they took Zeke at 4 because Rod Marinelli told them like, hey, listen, he will help us. They could have gotten Jalen Ramsey, but they didn't know where they were going to play Jalen Ramsey. They didn't know if they were going to play him at corner or safety. I mean, they were stuck. So all of a sudden, Rod Marinelli's like, yeah, if this guy can help us and keep us off the field, and let's draft him at 4. So see, it's a lot of, I think it's different between at 4 and 26 when you take a guy, but I totally understand the kind of the grinding of the teeth when you talk about a running back at 16, or excuse me, at 26.
Yeah, because the reason I kind of come to conclude that as well, like the reason I'm kind of opposed to running backs, which is what we're seeing now, a projection now with other teams. It's more of a running back by committee. Like you're seeing Kansas City, you're seeing Philadelphia. They're having the rotation of running backs, and they're very low in cost in terms of and you mentioned, there's running backs later in this draft that can actually do a really steady job. So
no doubt.
And when it comes to the rotation, so that's where I don't. Is that the direction the Cowboys want to go, or do they still want to kind of splash out with a player like Bijan? So it's so hard to determine what we're going to do.
No, I mean, and you're not wrong, and I think you gave a very good explanation why. And I'm one of these guys. If they take Bijan Robinson and he's a bust, I'll wear it. I'm not. I mean, but if he turns out to be a great player, I'll also be humble enough to say, you know what? Hey, you saw it on tape. Now there's like you say, it is a big group of running backs. Roschon Johnson, his teammate, third round guy, you could take him. There's a lot of positive things about Roschon Johnson in this draft that you could say, hey, if you don't grab one at 26, well, what's wrong with grabbing one at in the 3rd round? There's nothing wrong with that. 4th round, 5th round. There's a couple of spots. This tight end group, the running back group, the corner group, I think it all stretches pretty good for you. Even maybe the edge stretches for you a little bit too, if you're interested in that.
Without a doubt, 100%. There's other running backs like Tang Bigsby and stuff like that as well.
No, you're wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Absolutely.
So,
but you're wrong. But don't be in it. You're not wrong, but you're wrong.
Appreciate it, Brian.
And I didn't like your choice of ice cream either while we're at it, all right?
Oh, man. I do secretly love
I do love mint chocolate chip is good. I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, it looks so good. That chocolate looks so good in that. It's the color. It's that green color for me. That's what it does every time.
I know we need more blue flavored ice creams out there.
We do.
Sorry, Brian.
Brian, one of your favorite things, and we always hear you saying this during the draft show, during your own shows, and
thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you.
Is guys you would jump on the table for?
Oh,
is there a guy in this class, a pet cat? Is there a guy that you're going to jump on the table for and say, I want the Cowboys to take this player? It doesn't have to be 1st rounder, 2nd rounder. It can be
I
late round guy.
No, I totally get what you're saying here, because the one guy that, and I don't know if you guys followed John Owning, who does work in the draft and stuff like that, I think with Pro Football Focus, and he is John is I think I got that right, but John is one of those guys. He sent me a direct message here not too long ago, and I was kind of working through some players, and there was one player that I hadn't seen, and I wasn't sure I was going to get to him and all that. But there's a guy named Corey Trice that's a cornerback from Purdue. And the reason I mentioned Corey Trice is because he's 6'3" and he's 206 pounds. And the thing about Corey Trice is, when you watched him play, and John told me, Brian, you need to watch this guy. You need to watch this guy play. And there's a lot of really good corners in this draft. And I kind of felt like, well, John, I'll get to him kind of a thing. Well, I got to him, and the next thing you know, I'm falling in love with a player here that, he has that ideal, the size that Dan Quinn absolutely loves.
Yeah.
He could play press. He could play off. The length is really, really good. He plays the ball down the field. He locates the ball well. I mean, it's, I feel like that when the ball comes his direction, but he's got the ball skills and the reactions. And what happens is receivers make mistakes. They'll like drop balls will clang off them. They make mistakes when he's in coverage. And so what he does is he creates turnovers. And so that's something that, to me, when you watch him play, and I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at 210 players. I don't know if John doesn't mention him as that guy. Do I even see him? Maybe Dane. I mean, Dane had him, kind of in an area, and I'm kind of like thinking, well, damn, I'm glad he did. But Corey Trice, he is a cornerback from Purdue. Like I say, 6'3", 206 pounds. I hope he plays for the Cowboys, but I promise you there'll be somebody who'll be watching a game on Sunday or Monday night or Thursday, and you guys will tweet at me and say, "You're right about him, Brian. You said it. You said it on our show that guy, but he's a heck of a player. He really, really is." I'll tell you, can I get one more guy? Can I give you one more guy?
Yeah, more the merrier.
Nah, man. I'll tell you what. I love the linebacker from Washington State, this Dayan Henley.
Yes.
Now Dayan Henley is one of those guys. He's 6'1", he's 225 pounds. He went to school initially in Nevada, at the University of Nevada there. But this guy, I don't know if you've seen him or not, but he has got a nose for the ball. His instincts, his recognition, when he sees the play, he's gone. He can attack the ball. His mission is to be the first guy there every single time. I mean, he works through traffic and those gaps and the cracks, and then he gets through and he makes stops. He'll take on blockers. He gets rid of blockers. He's a wrap-up tackler. You don't have to worry about him falling off. I mean, he gets wrapped up and he gets the guy on the ground. He plays downhill. I mean, there's some real positive things. You watch him in coverage. He doesn't get fooled. He reads really well. And he has a feel on how to break on passes. When they're like there, he's moving forward. He's knocking balls down. Again, he's 6'1", he's 225 pounds, but he is a hell of a football player. And so if you hear me during the draft, and it'll be like, they'll be in the third round, wherever they'll say, "Who's the best player on your board, Brian?" I'm just going to keep saying his name. I'm going to will it into existence. That he is going to be a Dallas Cowboy. That's what I'm going to do.
Ooh, I love that take. I love that.
Speaking of Henley, I mean, as I said, Dane did his mock on Monday, and he put Henley to the Cowboys in the second round.
Yeah, I was, and you know why Dane did that? Because in all actuality, if you think he's a third round player, it ain't happening. I just don't think it's going to happen. It's just too much production unless people are dinging him on the size. And trust me, guys, this is a draft. Where there's a lot of guys that don't have size. Every one of those damn wide receivers you look at. I mean, we could all drink pints off the top of some of these guys' heads. They're that short of guys. So, and if you figure that out, so if, there's these, I know the kid Williams, the linebacker at Tulane, another one of the, these guys, Williams, he makes 17 tackles against USC in a game. Oh, okay. Well, are we just saying that USC is? I mean, no, it's USC. They play great football over there. I mean, and if you're having that kind of production, you can have production against the Commanders and the Giants and and these other teams that the Cowboys have to play every week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, like for last year, my pet.
Who are your guys' pet cats?
Oh,
you got anyone?
Mine's Saika Ika from Baylor, the defensive interior tackle.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I like that one.
Yeah.
Guys, hard to move, man.
I know.
An athlete too. Really good athlete. Yeah.
Like he reminds me a fair, like not as size wise as this particular player, but he reminds me of Vita Vea. In terms of his get off, in terms of breaking the inside down with the A gap, like I love what he does.
You're not wrong. That's a good one. How about you, Brian? You got one?
I'm going for a late round wide receiver from BYU.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Good for you. I'm keeping an eye on him for 6th, 7th round.
Okay. What do you like? Using the 6th or 7th round that you're hunting traits. What's the trait you like about the player? You have a trait?
You've stumped me now.
I don't mean
You
to
have
stump you.
stumped me.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, no, I mean, like BYU, if you watch the quarterback, you watch their offensive, the players that they had. I mean, you're watching Freeland, the tackle, so you're watching the quarterback. Their receiver, they did a nice job. They really did. I mean, I totally am on board with what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the 6th, 7th round, you're looking for traits. Guys got a really good shuttle time. Guys got a really good 3-cone time. Guys got really good length. Guys got a good 40 time. Guy caught 1 million balls at Ferris State. There's all kinds of things that you look at for these players.
Yeah.
I think just still in regards to the draft, right? Because obviously we heard Jerry weeks and months now actually making the comments that they will draft a quarterback. So what is your thoughts on this? And obviously we've had a couple of guys with 30-day visits. There's Aidan O'Connell and etc. So what's your thought process on the quarterback position?
Yeah, what round are you guys going to go crazy overseas if they draft a quarterback? What round is it going to be? You guys are going to throw your pin at the wall or something like that. They take a quarterback in the 3rd round. You guys going to go nuts?
No.
No. Oh, wait a minute. We got a Dak hater over here. What are we doing over there?
No.
I'm not a Dak hater at all.
No, I know. I'm just having fun. That's what happens, because it happens to us all the time. When we talk about Dak on the radio, when you try and have a real conversation, people will call you out for that and all that.
Yeah.
And I personally, let me talk about Aidan O'Connell from Purdue.
Yep.
Purdue, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing we talked about him on the draft show today was that with Aidan O'Connell, you have a situation where they've done a lot of work on him. They've done a lot of work on him when it came down to private workout. When you go do a private workout on a guy, you're interested in doing things to, okay, this is what we're going to do on offense. Schottenheimer, those guys go work this guy out. All of a sudden they're trying to figure out, okay, can he do the things that we can do, offensively? So here they are. They go work him out. They figure some things out. They do the Zoom meeting. They figure. Now, I think the league is going to because we saw it with Brock Purdy last year. With Brock Purdy, it was an older, established captain, 4-year starter. There's guys like that in this draft. Hell, Hendon Hooker from Tennessee is a 6-year player. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there are guys like that. Aiden is that. Toon is that way from Houston. They've got some guys that have played a lot of football. And I think the league is going to that. Let me tell you what, boys, if I was drafting Richardson from Florida, hold on to your butts, because he hasn't played a lot of football. You know what I'm saying? So now my job's on the line. I'm trying to pay for my lake house and I can't get fired. So I got to make sure I take the quarterback that it's been through the battles. Richardson's he's a great player, but he doesn't have the experience. And and I was talking to Dane about his mock draft, and I said this, I go, if you, he goes, what do you think about the Cowboys taking a quarterback? And I said, what about the Cowboys taking O'Connell? And he said, he's gone. He was gone the 3rd. I can't get, and because I was thinking, okay, well, how early, where do you want to take him? You want to take him in the 4th? When do you want to take? And Dan goes, no, he's gone. I've got him off the board. He's not there. So I don't know if Cowboy fans, how bad do the Cowboys want to potentially draft Aidan O'Connell? How bad? Because they might have to draft him in the 3rd round. They might have to do that. So we'll see. There's going to be everybody, when it happens, everybody's going to go, oh, but you shouldn't. You should, man. These quarterbacks are making $40, $50 million a year.
Well,
if your quarterback doesn't work out, that's the thing. When I was working for the Cowboys and scouting in the early 2000s, we never had a quarterback. A quarterback never became available. Nobody ever gave up a quarterback. If today I could go get Aaron Rodgers, I could go get Carr. I could go get Trey Lance if I want to give up enough to the 49ers. It's changed. A lot of this has changed the way we look at these quarterbacks, and it's nothing against Dak. It's just trying to think of what's going to happen maybe 2-3 years from now. That's what you're trying to do.
I think also as well, it's like other teams are thinking about, okay, what's the point of drafting a quarterback if he's not like getting the weapons, he's not getting the actual protection as well. It's like you want to kind of like always think about the other positions as well. So yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like it's so funny that you mentioned Hendon Hooker because a guy in our chat, Ultra Cowboy, keeps mentioning that like this is no dig to you, Ultra Cowboy, but he thinks Hendon Hooker should go in the first. Like,
he might get drafted. He might.
Yeah, like, he may get
Zach
drafted.
Zach Wolchuk did that in our mock draft. Zach Wolchuk drafted Hendon Hooker in the first round in Minnesota, and I looked at him and I went, "What are you doing?" And like, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing over there. But yeah, that's where we're at now. Now we're seeing a lot more mocks where there's people that are talking about. Zach this morning again said he's got Hendon Hooker over the kid at Ohio State. So I mean, that's kind of, I mean, these quarterbacks, again, it goes back to our ice cream, mint chocolate chip, pistachio. Yeah. I mean, depending on what you see in the quarterback, that's the way it is.
Because sorry, Brian, because it kind of relates to what you were mentioning. What round would you go crazy if the Cowboys did draft?
No, I want to hear this from you guys. I want to hear what round you go crazy in. Well, and the folks, I want to see the people chat or text in too. What rounds because someone I saw what's his name? Little Mac.
Little Mac
just said, Little Mac, there he is. Little Mac just said they don't have the stones to draft Aiden O'Connell in the third round. There you go. He said guts. I use stones. I said stones. He said stones are different to you guys though. Stones is weight, so I guess, right? So I missed that up. So but they don't have the guts or the balls, if I would say, to do that. Yeah, for sure.
See, this is what I mean. Like, so if the Cowboys went completely off the rails and said to go for quarterback, then rather than reinvest and help protect that, I would be going irate about it. Yeah. Like I maybe get the idea that they might go for Hooker because he is a good player. I will give him that, but what's the point if you're not able to kind of protect him in the left guard position?
I understand. I totally understand. Man, Little Mac is not going to give up that Hendon Hooker to 26, is he? No, he's not. Not giving that one up.
Well, like the quarterback comments have been coming in hot and heavy, Brian.
Oh, I'm sure they have. See, this is what Todd Archer and I from ESPN were talking about one day. And Todd said something I thought was pretty interesting. He goes, listen, I understand paying quarterbacks. I get it. I'm not against paying Dak. But he goes, I also would like my quarterback to get me to a championship game or Super Bowl within 5 years.
Yes.
And then, people say, well, man, look at the contract that the Jalen Hurts just got. Second year, Jalen Hurts got you to a Super Bowl, and that's, so now you're starting to justify, like, if you've got a Super Bowl quarterback, Matt Ryan got you to championship games. Matt Ryan got you to Super Bowl. Matt Ryan got paid. Matt Ryan can't play very well right now. But see that I don't disagree with Todd's thinking there. I'm going into year 8. I'm going into year 8, and I'm trying to think, what more can I do for this guy? Can I draft more? Can I build an offensive line? Can I get a runner? Can I get I just kind of feel like, though, that if you're the Cowboys and they're the one team, well, maybe there's a couple others, but they're the one team that I thought maybe wouldn't pay a quarterback, say, $50 million, because the general manager is not going to lose his job. My buddy at the Rams, my buddy at Tampa, they didn't have a quarterback. Jason Light, my buddy in Tampa, he's going to get fired. Tom Brady shows up. He gets the Super Bowl. What happens? He gets a 5-year extension. See, that's quarterback. That's what you could build around that stuff like that. But I appreciate Dak. Dak is you want Dak to succeed because he's such a damn good guy. He does everything right. So you want him to succeed, but there comes a point in time where, he wins that game in Tampa. Great job. But man, you fall apart a little bit against San Francisco in that game. And I know the weapons got knocked out and stuff like that, but anyway, that's where we're at.
That's football.
Football. That's football. That is football.
It is. So, Brian, have we time for one last question? Or
go for it. Yeah, I got guys hovering around me here, but let's go for it one more time. What do you say?
We have seen the Cowboys get a bit more aggressive this year in terms of Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. The window seems to be closing. Do you see the Cowboys getting aggressive in the draft and going trade up?
No, I think they're maybe not in the first round, but maybe if they have to move, that I think the use of the compensatory picks were really, really good. You know, to go out and get Cooks. When I've talked about earlier, the wide receiver group is kind of a muddied kind of a group. The tight end group, you don't know if you're going to get the right guy, even though it looks like a little bit more of a depth in that particular position. I think they did a great job. I never thought, leaving Indianapolis, I never thought they were going to get Donovan Wilson done. There's no way in hell I thought that one was going to get done. It got done. You know, Leighton Vander Esch got that one. I mean, they kind of just systematically picked off some guys along the way. Yeah. They're going to have to figure out the kicker. The next thing is going to be to figure out the kicker, where that's going to come in. Hopefully Bones Fossil has a plan for that. Yeah. But I think as far as aggressiveness, maybe in rounds 1, probably not. Second, third round, if they see somebody that's worth going for, boom, make that dance up the board and find a way to make that happen. They have been aggressive. They love to sign their own guys. They showed they used the compensatory as well. So the one thing these guys can really do is draft. They really can draft. So that's kind of where I think they're set to be able to get that taken care of.
Who's let Captain trade down into the conversation here?
Somebody wants to trade down?
Yeah. Depth in this draft, I think it's more aggressive to move back than up.
Yeah, you know what? I don't go out of the back of the first. It depends on who you're trading away from. That's the whole deal. That's the whole deal. You know, it depends on who you're trading away from. I have to be very careful about, okay, what position am I looking at? Is there a stack of 2 or 3 guys that I could trade back to look at and go? But I'm always hesitant. I don't mind going up. Going back bothers me a little bit because now I got to wait a little more. Am I trading away from a guy that I think could be a really, really good player?
So, Brian, before we let you get out of here, put your neck on the block. Cowboys are on the clock at 26. Who are you picking?
I would take. I understand why Dane took the tight end Mayer. I get that. If Wright, I've got Mayer and Wright. I mean, tags touching 18, 19. I got him that close. If I had to say which direction they would go, and I'm mentioning both guys, I think that they would take Mayer is what they would do. I think people are really kind of overrating what Dallas has at tight end right now. I think they like Hendershot. I think they like Ferguson, but look at the production. What's telling you now? Maybe Dalton Schultz was the same way, that Dalton Schultz didn't have great numbers coming. You know, I mean, it was kind of a slow build, but I think that people are a little bit, you know, maybe tap the brakes on the tight ends for the Cowboys. I'm not letting Hendershot or Ferguson keep me from grabbing a really, really good tight end. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. So my gut says they'll probably take the tight end, but I want to mention Wright from Tennessee if he is on that board.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that.
Absolutely. So look, Brian, we know you have another show coming up in 10 minutes.
I got to talk for 3 hours now coming up. And then I got to be at a gentleman's club after that. So busy day.
But as always, look, Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
To get you on, and hopefully we can get you back on soon. Just hopefully
thank you.
Rangers have another 3 o'clock.
There we go. I'd love to do it. Maybe after the draft, a day baseball game, we'll circle back here. We got plenty of those coming up, but thank you guys. I love you guys so much. Be safe over there. Be good to each other right now. And keep working on your boards, man. Keep working on your boards and trust your eyes. Trust your eyes. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Trust your eyes.
Oh, just before you do go, we do need to let you know, all of us as part of UK Cowboys, we are all coming over for Thanksgiving this year.
Oh, so, good.
There you go.
That's kind of fitting to come over for Thanksgiving. Yeah. All right. I like this. We're good. Yeah. Here we go.
So even Jamie's coming. Even Jamie.
Oh, well, hey, I'll tell you what, man. With Jamie and his love for Lewis Hamilton, I'm like, I don't know what to say about this. You know, I haven't, you know, ever since Lewis Hamilton's kind of Mercedes has been kind of a little wonky. I think that Jamie has kind of been a little quiet about what's going on there at Mercedes. I'd be a little, I think he needs to get back on the train. He's kind of being a little bit of a front runner right now, I'd say. So.
I'm all about the underdogs. I'm all about Haas.
Oh, there you go. You know what's up with you with the Scots here pulling for an American team? It's like I pull for McLaren. I mean, what the hell? Here we go.
Well, I do want to move to the States. I've actually got my Texas flag right on my wall over here. So
you will kill him. We'll get you on the radio every day with that accent. You will kill him on the radio every day for sure.
Are you hiring?
Let me go talk to the boss right now, but I do have to run, boys. Thank you so much. Love everybody. Thank you for all you do for us. Keep it going. All right. We'll see you.
Man.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. The great and powerful Brian Broaddus on the show. Oh, it's so great to hear his insight, his knowledge. And I have to admit, I am like, the more he has so many more, and the Darnell Wright, the tackle from Tennessee, one thing, again, the only thing I was like, I hate the idea of transitioning a tackle to guard, but I'm always open to hear everyone's perspective on it, because obviously, especially like Brian and Dane Bugler and stuff like that, they will know more. They see more footage than we can ever possibly do. So for Brian to say that speaks volumes.
It's always the thing I do in the last week is listen an awful lot more than talk, because Brian, Dane, Kyle, Nick Eatman, Rob Phillips when he was with the Cowboys, Dave Hellman, they can't tell you exactly what they know is happening in the building, but they're dropping breadcrumbs. They're never shocked when the pick comes in.
Do you remember, in the year Leighton Van Der Esch got drafted, Brian Broaddus he was the first guy to say, I think the Cowboys are going to draft Van Der Esch on the actual day. He completely turned it around. He basically, it wasn't like breaking news type of thing. He just kind of dropped that wee breadcrumb at the start of the night. It's like, I think it's going to be Leighton Van Der Esch, and we're like, really?
Yeah.
And it so happened to be.
Yeah. The guys are so plugged in, and obviously they can't come out and tell you, we've seen the board, we know where these guys are. They're telling you who's in the building. As they say, Darnell Wright was in the building.
Yes.
They could tell you Jackson Smith and Jigba is the pick because Jackson Smith and Jigba was in the building.
Yeah.
They're clued in. They know what they're talking about. They know what the Cowboys are doing. And it brings me back 2 years ago when we did the 24-hour draft. We'd everybody on, and almost everybody to a T said JC Horn or Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
And I think it was only Mickey who mentioned Micah Parsons.
I was Micah Parsons from day one.
Yeah, you were on the train.
Within the Cowboys media, you were right. It was Mikey Spagnola. It was the only guy that is. I think it's going to be Micah Parsons. He said it flat out. Yeah,
and obviously by the time it got to us, both Surtain and Horn were gone, so we ended up moving back 2 spots. Still got Micah Parsons, who realistically is the best player from that draft class.
Oh, a shadow of a doubt. If you were to reinvent that draft year, Micah Parsons would have been top 3 easily.
Oh, top 1. I don't think there's any that was the Sunshine draft, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I still think the quarterbacks might take a precedence because of the need more than anything, rather than the best. But if you're basing it based on ranking of who was the best player from that draft, Micah Parsons, without a doubt, number 1. Yeah.
So Lebarski, that was actually what I started laughing about during what Brian was last talking about. So I'll pull up the comment, because it really got me. He was saying, any chance we get a UFC cage match between Rusty and Mickey for charity?
My goodness. You guys, Lebarski, you just love causing drama on this show, son. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
But yes, guys, Brian Broaddus, legend.
Yeah. So Look, we'll try not stay on too long, Paul, because we didn't really have a running order for tonight. You know, we
No.
knew we had Brian for 45 minutes, and we were just going to take and see where it went. You know, but I mean, we're 8 days out from the draft. You know, how are you feeling?
I still feel calm about it. Like,
yeah,
as long as we don't do anything too wild. Like, I know, like, sort of like what Epic Cowboy made the comment about Hendon Hooker at 26. If we do something like that, then I am like, okay, like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But I think, like, with how the accumulation's been right now, we've had a really, really productive off-season and bringing in Lisa Cooks, bringing in Gilmore, etc., re-signing Van Der Esch, like Brian mentioned there, and we're in a really nice stable position that we can just draft players to add volume and still make an impact. So, like you mentioned, like Drew Sanders and stuff, I think that would be a great pick if we were to get him somewhere in the draft. Like, we might trade up in the second to try and drop and get him. Who knows? And that's one thing that I forgot to mention while Brian was on. Like, of all the days in the draft, I still think day 2 is going to be the most exciting, not just for the Cowboys, but I think for every team. Like, because obviously every team has their list.
Yeah.
And we even had Tom Ryle from last week who mentioned like he had like there's like anything above after 25 players, it's like high grade second rounders. So there's going to be a big fight in this second round, without a doubt.
Yeah, like I mean, I know it's kind of as you say, right? It's day 2 is that in between day. Like, obviously everyone's excited for the first day.
Yeah, it's all the bravado. It's the bravado day, pretty much.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like 32 players come off the board, and everybody resets, and everybody is looking throughout Friday and going, right, what can we do? Where are our players? Where's our, as Brian said, where's our stack? And what players are still available to us?
That's so true, Chris. Look what happened with the year with Paxton Lynch. Like, Chris, obviously we were thinking about getting him in the first round. So, like so Jason and Jerry and Stephen, they reset their board and looked and said, okay, we think we can get Dak in the 4th round, and they did that.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, as you say, teams are more likely to move on that second day.
Yes.
And make trades, see what happens. Sorry, I just want to go back. So Lebarski was just saying serious thanks for that. So with Brian has supported us from day 1. It's just unfortunate his own show is live at the same time we're live. So we never get the chance to actually chat properly to Brian unless it's the draft day shows where he can flip in and out. So we love getting Brian on. We love talking to him, but it's a scheduling conflict. And then Joe just kind of asked, there is a show tomorrow evening. We postponed yesterday's show because we knew we were getting Brian today. So this is your Tuesday show. The Thursday show will be on Thursday.
Yep, absolutely. So Mike will be back tomorrow. I'll be back on as well. So be sure to go, guys. Check in, like, subscribe. We're back 9 p.m. tomorrow, UK time. Oh God, I'm trying to remember my time zones. 3 p.m. Texas time.
4 on the East Coast, 1 on the West.
Thank you, Brian. I'm still trying to remember the blooming time zones, and I've been going to America for God knows how many years now. So,
well, wait till you're in America, Paul, and you're on. What time is it back home?
Oh man, like I'll be striving working at 3 p.m. then if that's the case.
Yeah,
I'll be the ultimate insider.
But before we do get out of here, I just want to give a shout out to your fellow co-host of the World's Team podcast. It is a happy birthday to Meg and to our other favorite person, Miss Kelsey Charles, on the 3rd anniversary of Girls Talking Boys.
Woohoo! Happy birthday, Meg. Love ya.
So, Paul, I think we'll get out of here for tonight. Obviously, again, as we say, the show will be back at the normal time, 9 o'clock tomorrow evening. We'll do our usual shout outs. I'll pull them up and you can do that.
Not a
do
problem.
The usual. So, there we go.
Yes, guys, if you're planning to go to a Dallas Cowboys game this season, be sure to go and check out cowboysexperience.com for meet and greets, stadium tours, amazing game tickets, and amazing tailgating experiences. So, as you can see on there on the screen, Micah Parsons, Jay Novacek, Drew Pearson, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, the list goes on. Get to meet these players, get to meet former Cowboys cheaters alumni, and much, much more.
Yeah. And I was talking to Barry, who runs Cowboys Experience today, and I was talking to him in particular about the upcoming visit out for the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, for the travel package that we're offering as well. So,
and there's going to be some extra special guests Barry is working on right now. I'm not revealing any details, but make sure you get out there for this.
Yes,
so
guys.
I'll hand it over.
Yes, guys, because we are going to be creating a private Facebook group for people that have applied for or have put their deposit down for the travel package, so we can all keep in touch and make sure we're all traveling together, etc. And so be sure to go on, if you want to find out more information about our travel package, go to our Facebook group for more details or contact Cowboys Experience directly.
Yeah, and obviously, what do we say? Use the code.
Yes, use the code UK Cowboys. If you don't, you get free stuff.
You get free stuff. And when you see Rich Jones at the Thanksgiving game, you make sure and remind him you also get chocolate pudding.
Yeah, guys. If you see a wee crazy Welshman, just ask him if he wants some chocolate pudding, and we'll see a good wee reaction off him.
And last, but certainly by no means least, Paul.
Yes, guys. So we just had the great and powerful Brian Broaddus. As he mentioned, he's back on DallasCowboys.com. And there's a show there, the Dallas Cowboys Draft Show. He's back on there. He's also on 105.3 The Fan. He's also on multiple other stations as well. So be sure to go and check that out. And also go and check out other fellow content creators like myself and Meg on Blogging the Boys, also with Kelsey Charles doing Girls Talking Boys and Blogging with the Boys. And you can see like J Tuck, CFO Sports, Pick Six Sports, Big Game James. There are good friends from Canada, Cowboys Can Fan, and many, many more. Be sure to go and check every single one of those guys out. You're not going to be short of Dallas Cowboys content.
Absolutely. And just before we do get out of here again, as I say, tomorrow's show will be back at the normal time. We will be doing a show on Tuesday. It's going to be a fan show. So you guys are going to dictate what we talk about on that show. So it's going to be like we spoke with Brian. Tell us who you want to pick 26. Tell us what players you're interested in the later rounds. We'll have a rough outline of what we're going to do. And then obviously next Thursday, we won't be going live at the normal time because we'll be doing live draft coverage. So I think we'll be going live at about 11 o'clock on Thursday night.
Yeah, 11 p.m. So it'll be 5 p.m. Central Time.
Yeah. And then Friday night, we'll probably go live about midnight here in the UK and Ireland.
Yeah.
And Saturday, I think we're going to go live about 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Just go and keep on checking our social media. We'll post the times when we're going live. We'll keep you all in the loop. And if you're new to the show, give us a like, hit the subscribe button. We really would appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We will, as Paul said, keep an eye out. We are trying to arrange guests and special appearances for the draft shows. We're not going to say anything too much because we're still trying to work on some things.
Yeah.
But as we get them, we'll start releasing the information to you over the next week. So stay in touch with all of our socials. Paul, I'm going to let you wrap up tonight.
Yes. You know me. The way I like to finish the show, Dallas forever, Philly for never. Simple as that.
Good night, folks.